Okay, so thanks to Vision Films, we looked at Spirit of Friendship. This is the new one from Danny LeGare, who wrote and directed, right? He also produces the film. It's associate produced by Desmond Fazian, George Lyon, and Tyler Sari. Craig Flaster took care of the music. Tyler Sari is also on cinematography. Liza Coons handled hair and makeup. And our cast. Right, so this is all narrated by Jeremy London, who also is the adult version of Billy. The younger Billy is played by Carter Grassi, right? Billy's best friends, Jake and Mike. Jake is played by Dante Corticelli, and Mike is his brother, Luca Corticelli. Right, we have then got I guess, right? Billy's crush, Abby, played by Brianna Gleason. Abby's friends, who I think is Charlie, played by Megan Aparo. And Emma, played by Delaney Nicholes. Abby's got a brother, Lance, played by Christian Nicholes. And I think Lance's other friend is Lawrence, played by Shane Shushka. Right, there's Leonard, played by Sal Rendino. Who else do we have? There's Ryan, played by Reed Nicholes, and Harper, played by McKenna Jordan. Yes. So the gist of the film is this: it's a touching family tale that follows little Billy as he sets out on a mission to speak with his mother in the afterlife while he is still coming to terms with her passing. So yeah, that's the film. Now, what that makes it sound like it could be a horror, right? He's looking to connect with his mum in the afterlife. No, it's about a little kid trying to deal with grief and loss, right? That's what this film is. The title is a bit misleading, I feel. Spirit of Friendship. I mean, it should be called very clunky metaphor. that would seem like the best title for this one. I get what they're trying to do, right? I understand what Danny LeGare wants to try and convey with this story, right? About keeping, our loved ones close in our hearts. And if you keep someone close, then, are they ever really gone? You know what I mean? That's the sentiment here. It is kind of odd, though. I found it kind of odd because it's all about, right? He goes to a cemetery to find a way to connect with his mum. Right? There's his friends like, oh, I saw this thing online, and if you go to a cemetery and you sit in a circle and you know what I mean, then you can. Now, here's the thing, right? This film is set in modern times. It's not like I think this notion may have worked if this was a period piece, but having the film set in our times, there's films, there's books, there's TV, there's all of these things that would have touched upon loss. You know what I mean? So the fact that no one is going, why don't we go to your mum's grave? At no point in this film do they go, let's go to your mum's grave. We don't get a sense that they have moved, right? There's nothing that's like they're new to the neighborhood or anything like that. So I think it's fair to say that Billy lived in that house with his mum. So the cemetery that they go to must be the cemetery where she's buried, right? And maybe she wasn't buried. Maybe she was cremated. Yeah, no, that's the word for it. Yeah, maybe she was cremated. Then you could go to wherever you scattered the ashes, or the cemeterian, crematorium, right? But that's not a thing, because we know people go to graveyards and talk to their loved ones. That's not a weird, foreign, out there notion. That's the thing. And that's what I'm saying, because we see it in TV, in films, we read about it in books all the time, right? Someone goes to the graveyard and they have a conversation. So the fact that that is never brought up is baffling. It's baffling, right? Even the dad never says to Billy, oh, do you want to go and see your mum today? Or let's go to the graveyard. Or, just even, why don't you go, you can go there. Like there's none of that. Not even, or even, look, I don't want you going to the grave again. There's no reference to the grave. Why? It's a very odd one. And especially if a cemetery is a big part of the story. It's weird. It's really weird. Also, the interactions between everyone, they don't work, right? You don't believe that these are Billy's friends. You don't believe that, Billy's dad is Billy's dad. Like, nothing. Everything feels clunky, right? Like, look, kid actors, I had this conversation with someone like, who did I talk to? I talked to someone about this. I forget. Yeah, it was someone recently. But anyway, kid actors are tough because, oh, I know who I spoke about this with. I spoke to this with Richard J. Bosner, right? About his film Devotee. Yeah, kid actors. It's tough because they haven't been through anything. There's no life experience. So pulling on emotion, it can be difficult, I imagine. And I think it's down to the director to be able to guide them. And it doesn't always work. And in this one, it did not work at all. Now, I will say, right, out of all of the kids, Abby, right, Brianna Gleason was the one that felt the most natural and gave the best performances, And listen, it's not to say none of these kids can get better. I'm not saying that, right? Because they're only doing what they were asked to do, you know? But what we have on screen, it's not conclusive to real close-knit friendships. We also get a lot of flubs left in, right? A lot of flubs in in the line deliveries have been left, and it's not, you know what I mean? Like, because look, we're not all eloquent, you know, every moment of the day. There's the amount of times it's just having a conversation and messing up words. Look, I forgot what cemeterian was. Yeah, that's not even the word, is it? No. Anyway, right? Like, you can mess up words, but there's there's a vibe to it, right? Like, when someone's, flubbing their words or just misstepping or anything like that. And then you also know when someone is trying to deliver lines and they don't deliver those lines, right? And so them leaving them in, it's just a bit like, ooh, boy. Now, again, look, working with kids, you've only got them for a certain period of time and all of that. So I imagine that was part of it all. But it doesn't help because, if everything else was perfect, everything else, just it all felt really well done. And, that, oh, these kids have been friends forever. It wouldn't matter. But because, it doesn't, all of this stuff is kind of glaring, right? When you look at stuff like, Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret, right? Or You Are So Not Invited to My Bar Mitzvah. Stuff like that, the kids in those films were fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, you brought the relationships, you brought the friendships, just all of that, the arguments, everything. That's how, it is when it works, and it works really well. And yeah, in this one, again, you just don't buy it. There's an incident towards the end with Billy and Abby's brother. Not believable one bit. It just wasn't. It was very bizarre. It's just very bizarre. So yeah, it's an odd film, right? Again, look, I get it. I get what they're trying to do, but it's just the execution doesn't really help it. And you've also got the mood music. I hate mood music, man. Look, I hate mood music. And this one is just, firstly, the music, it's on the loud side, right? You never want music to kind of drown out your dialogue. And we shouldn't need it, right? You always have to think, if we took the music out, does the scene still feel the same? And it doesn't, because no one's conveying the emotions needed. So I imagine that's why they're like, okay, let's make it work. Let's put in music, but it's just jarring. It is very jarring, So yeah, it's an odd one, right? But it is kind of on the lines of one of those faith-based films, right? So if you are a huge fan of, look, we looked at it the other week, right? For Profit. You know what I mean? If you really like that, gosh, there's been so many, right? Like, Nashville Wish, Dance Rivals, all of those type of films. If those are the things that work for you, then look, this will be great. right? This will be something you can sit down with your family, with your friends, with your church group, any of those things, right? It's non-offensive, you know? So it will work on that level. But as a solid drama, I just didn't really think it hits. But look, that, people, is, that's the beauty of films. You can make that decision. You can make that decision as if this is something you want to see. And yeah, Spirit of Friendship will be available on all your favorite VODs from the 13th of August. So, people, there you go. Spirit of Friendship.